Well, welcome everybody. Thanks for joining us today. We got some good stuff to go over, and yeah, if you have any questions, just raise your hand or type in the chat bar, and we
Or the
will get them
Q&A.
answered.
I feel like the Q&A is for the bashful people. They don't want their questions put up there. The chat is for everybody, and make sure it's put on everyone. If you're trying to get a message to everybody, if you want a private message, that's fine too. So, hello, Diane, Jenny, sitting here in the same office. We decided it would be easier that way. And as Denise said, welcome everybody, and we will get rolling on our presentation. So basically, this is what we're going to do today. We're going to talk about website resources. We're going to talk about Mercado, and I say we, that's going to be primarily Jenny. The 2026 trials, some of the questions that we had in our judges survey, and then we'll talk about upcoming meetings. And I think that's pretty much it. But of course, we will take your questions as they come up. So, Jenny, why don't you take it over?
Well, we do have several new judges this year for 2026. We wanted to welcome everybody aboard. We have Alec Kowaleski at Oregon State, Andrew Adams, University of Delaware, Camille Newson at UT Gardens Jackson, Christine Coker at LSU Ag Center, Emily Moore, University of Minnesota, Jack Haynes, NCSU Co-op Extension, Natasha Groskoff at Pan Am, and Tim Alderton at North Carolina State University. So a big welcome to everyone. Thank you for agreeing to help us out with these trials and joining AAS.
Yes, very much. Thank you for either taking over or becoming one of our newer judges. We really appreciate it. We couldn't be AAS trials without you guys, put it that way. Okay, Jenny, website resources.
So, especially for the newer judges and any new assistants that are here today as well, the AAS website does have a lot of great resources for you in the judges login area, which you get to from the main screen of AAS. Go to the industry tab, judges login, AAS 2016, all lowercase, no spaces. That's the password. So we've got Mercado, user guides, and we have the the downloadable entry and comparison list for each trial. We have the trial guidelines there for you, the judge and trial list. So you'll have emails for all of the judges at AAS if you want to contact anyone that's in doing one of your trials and ask any questions of the judges. So lots of great resources. I encourage everyone to use that page often. There's usually lots of stuff there for everybody to use.
Right. And we update it frequently. So like for example, after today's meeting, we will have this recording. If I'm recording it, I better go make sure that I'm recording it. Because I always forget that. Oh, it is recording. Okay, so yes, there will be a full recording of today's meeting. And we'll add that, like where it says more judge resources, we'll put it in here. And I just want to compliment Jenny on everything she puts together for Mercado. You know, I feel like every year it gets easier and easier to use. We understand how to use it. We work better with agri partners on it, and they continue to make tweaks. So yeah, it's all good. And Jesse just said hip hip hooray, Jenny. Yes, thank you. Okay, so you want to talk a little bit more about the website resource?
So yes, one of the great things we have there for you are the trial entry descriptions. So if you click on that link, you will see this page here that has a bunch of boxes for you to check off. You can only search one trial at a time, but when you do, if you are judging the ornamental seed in-ground trial, you select that and hit search, you will get the whole list of, I'm just thinking if you go to the next page, you'll see all of the entry details. So in Mercado, in the app itself, you have some basic information about each entry right on your screen, like what traits to judge, what color the fruit or the flower is supposed to be, what the comparisons were chosen for. But this gives you a lot more information. So I would encourage you to check out all of the entry details, especially if you're wondering about anything. We've also got pictures of the comparisons for you on there. So that's a great resource as well.
Okay. And Jenny's going to continue on
Yes.
and talk about Mercado.
So for Mercado, I know some of you have already logged in, downloaded your trials, maybe even started inputting some data. I'd encourage everyone to please try to do that as soon as possible. Sometimes there are glitches and things that we have to work out. Sometimes I can answer those questions or help you work it out. And other times we have to go to AgriPartners to ask for some help. So I don't want to be at the end of the trial season and suddenly you realize you don't know how to use it, or it's not working on your phone or your tablet or whatever. So if we can straighten all of that out as soon as possible, that would be great. We have, and for the newer judges too, and assistants, the way Mercado is set up, we have it that you put in, we call in like the observation round that we do for the interim from now until the final scores are due. Is we do look at that, but it's basically for your benefit to keep track of what you're seeing throughout the season. And then in the final round, which we make available in August, that's when you're going to give your final overall score. So the kind of interim part is your working kind of document to keep track of everything. And we encourage you to take lots of pictures, please.
The pictures are very, very helpful in numerous ways. Yes. So any Mercado questions, you can put them in chat or the Q&A, and we'll continue to go on through our presentation here, and we can always circle back and answer those questions. Drop the AAS website link in the chat. It is AASwinners.com. So I'm putting it there. You can also get to the AAS website from all-americaselections.org. So we have a long one with a hyphen, which is not great. And then we have the short one, aaswinners.com. And then when you're there, go to industry, and the very bottom, the very last drop down under industry is where you'll go to the judges login. And like Jenny said, the password is AAS2016, which means we have not changed that password in 10 years. So we don't want to change it on you and have to start all over again. So that for now, we're keeping it the same password. Okay, so you were going to do an overview of the trial season, right, Jenny?
Sure. So we have a couple different things this year with the trials, but in general, if you have any germination issues with seed entry or comparisons, let me know right away. I can send you replacements. We do ask you start the comparisons and the entry at the same time. So if you're only having a germination problem with the entry, you still have to restart everything. So everything starts at the same time under the same conditions. If you don't get your URCs or liners in the week you expected, let me know so we can try to get that worked out for you. And just another tip, keep in mind that you're doing this for the home garden market. And so, just do it as a home gardener would, treating everything the way they would.
Tough love. Is what we say.
Unless in the instructions from the breeder there are any specific directions.
Right.
Again, just kind of an overview here with the container trials. For all the container trials, we're asking you to grow 3 containers of each entry and 3 of each comparison. Container size is, kind of what you have. There are on the entry trial description details pages some recommendations of how many plants per different size container, so you can always reference that. For the in-ground seed trials, we hope that you can grow 12 to 24 plants of each entry and each comparison. The non-seed in-ground trial, 9 to 12 plants of each entry in comparison, and the perennial trial, at least 12 of each entry in comparison. And make sure, since this is a multi-year trial, you're recording how many plants you start with at the beginning of each season, how many are there at the end, etc. So the series trial has been around for a little bit, mostly in the ornamental seed so far, but this year it is being utilized in the edible in-ground, the ornamental seed in-ground, the non-seed container, and the perennial trial. So all judges should know what the series trial means, and that is when there is a new variety in an existing series that is an AAS winner. So you're only judging that entry against the existing AAS winner. And instead of having to outperform the comparison, in this case, the entry just needs to do as well as the comparison, since the comparison is already an AAS winner. So we started this trial because we didn't want to have an AAS winner as a comparison against something in that series, and the judges rightly saying, well, it didn't outperform that, so we can't give it the award.
It was just like the comparison. That's what we were hearing. And we said, well, if it's just like the comparison, which is an AS winner, then
it should be a winner. So.
Right. So that was our trial revamp. I want to say 3-4 years ago. So we've gotten some good winners out of our series trial too. So any trial questions you can put there in the chat or the Q&A and save them for the end. I'd like to figure out a way. Maybe at the end we can allow everybody to speak up. So, okay. Trial scoring. You're going to see that I put in here 6 or 7 questions. We sent out that quiz survey, just asking everybody, what would you do in this scenario, in this trialing scenario? And for the most part, there was a lot of agreement and everybody got things right. There were just a couple that it felt like were up for debate. And so these are the ones that I wanted to put here in our presentation for today's judges meeting. And it's really just a reiteration. So here's an example. You started the entry and comparison indoors. When you go to transplant them, you realize you were supposed to direct sow, which that information is on that entry form Jenny was talking about. So what should you do? And the correct answer is contact the AAS office for replacement. I mean, maybe you have some extra seeds, but really we want it trialed the way the breeder intended it intended for it to be trialed. So in this scenario, make sure you read the entry form as to how they want it planted. B, if you do make a mistake, contact us for replacements. And then the next one, you successfully propagated the entry and the comparison, but when you go to plant them outdoors, you realize the labels were lost or may have been mixed up. This is like everybody's worst nightmare, right? So you're not confident you know which is the entry and which is the comparison, which at transplant stage, you very possibly won't know if it hasn't flowered or set fruit yet. So what we suggest is planting them in sections. So hopefully you can tell different varieties from each other, plant them in sections. Once they start to fruit or flower, you can get in touch with us here in the office, primarily Jenny. This is where photos are super, super important, because if other judges have already taken photos of these, or we can look at the comparisons, we can look at the entry photos, we can help you figure out which one is which. And I'll give an example of this. That Concert Bell sunflower from a few years ago, we were getting some scores in, and there were, I don't know, 2 or 3 judges that said, well, it's just a single flower, but the comparison has multi-stems. Well, not multi-stems, flowers. And we realized that they had been mislabeled. So that was very helpful. We looked at photos and they were able to switch it around. So anyway, we know mistakes happen, and we just want to give you some guidelines on what to do if that happens. Okay, in this case, the URCs or liners or seeds were shipped and propagated but died before you could plant them outdoors. In this case, again, contact the AAS office immediately. We will get you replacements if at all possible. We don't want trial failures. I think you're going to see that theme throughout this. We want you to try again. You know, there may be some cases where you don't have enough time left in the season, but for this, before you plant them outdoors, hopefully we have enough time and we can start all over. So contact the AAS office, which means contact Jenny, and she will help you out in this scenario. Okay. The entry was entered into the trial specifically because of its disease package. And that's the only thing that the breeder wants you to judge. So it lives up to its claim, but either the color, the habit, the taste, or something is not impressive, falls short of what you would expect for an AAS winner. So what should you do? And scoring it a 4, worthy of an AAS award, is not the right answer. The right answer is, let's see, is number 2, right? Scored a 2, below average. Yes, and this, I'm doing some extreme examples, you know, so let's say that it's a disease-resistant tomato, but the actual fruit just tasted horrible and was variable in colors or whatever. You would score it as a 2 because the fruit is horrible, and you can't have horrible fruit on a AS winning tomato. Now, I realize that I am stating this in black and white. There's a lot of grays, but the key is it may meet its claim, but even though the breeder hasn't said, oh, I'm entering this for the taste or texture, it still has to taste good. So that was our example on that one. Okay, just a couple more here. You plant both the entry and its comparison, care for both appropriately, have no unusual weather or pest pressures, and a good number of both survive the first and second winters. By the way, this is for the perennial trial. But none survived the third winter. What should you do? So what you want to do is assign it a final score based on the years that it did grow. It could be that it's a short-lived perennial, especially if across the board everybody says it was phenomenal in year 1 and 2, it just didn't survive year 3. So please assign it a final score based on the years you did grow it. It is not a trial failure because it at least overwintered once or twice, depending on the scenario. And the last one, this is also for the perennial trial. You planted all the entries and comparisons, and over the years, all the entries died, but the comparisons lived. What do you do? And it is not a trial failure because a trial failure would imply that all the comparisons died as well. So we want you to give it an entry score that reflects its inability to thrive and survive. Because if the comparisons looked great and it didn't, well, then it deserves a low score. So I think those were the things that I wanted to go over. I don't see any questions here. So now,
Well, just another note on the
yes.
scoring. I think the comments are super, super helpful. If whatever score you're giving it, if in the comment section in the final score area, you can explain it a little, it really helps it as we're analyzing these things.
Right. It helps tremendously. You know, it will save you a lot of time if we don't have to go back to you and go, well, what really happened here? You know, if you just give that. Our goal is 100% of our judges fill in our comments. That would be wonderful. And not only for us, but for the breeders, because they get these scores back. So they want to know what happened and the details and things like that. So
yeah. Oh, and that maybe is one thing that, especially for new judges, to realize that the entering breeders do receive all of the comments.
Yes.
As well. So
Denise just type that in. Yeah.
Just so be aware.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'm not telling you you have to have 100% perfect grammar and spelling and everything, but do be aware that your reputation and your impression is going to be carried a little bit by the comments you make. Okay, I wanted to mention comparison committees. So right now we have one, two, three, four, five comparison committees. And the people that make up these comparison committees are definitely those of you who regularly order, grow, trial hundreds of varieties in your day job. In other words, you have to really know your stuff, present, past, future, etc. And if that applies to you, and if you are very familiar with ornamentals from seed, edibles, and basically any of the edibles, because we've got tomatoes and peppers as a separate comparison committee, and then all other is the other edible comparison committee. So if you are interested in serving on one of these comparison committees, please email me after this meeting and let me know, and then we can put you on our list. And these comparison committees only meet once, and it's in November. It's usually about an hour, hour and a half, and we give you a nice little chart to fill out. It's an online form. So if you're interested, it really does help you see what's coming in, gives you a little advance notice, and then you get to have a say-so in what's used as our comparisons. Trial entries. Okay, Jenny, it's all you.
Okay, so again, there's a lot of moving parts, and we have 7 different trials going on. Things change all the time. You know, if you miss anything, please just email and ask me. But the Digiplexus has been pulled from the ornamental, non-seed, and in-ground trials. So I did send that out, but in case you missed it, and you probably already have received the comparison, so just go ahead and enjoy those, but you will not have to judge anything.
But it will probably be in next year's trial. So there was just some logistical errors. So yeah, it's not in this year's, but hopefully it will be in next year's. Okay, Jenny, you picked out a few entries that just had some unusual characteristics. So we're not going through all of the entries this year. We wanted to just highlight a few. So shall we say unusual or some anomalies? Then okay, so I'm going to let Jenny explain these.
Okay. So for the first time, we do have a basil that you're getting as a liner, which this will be the first time in the edible trial we're doing this. So hopefully this will go smoothly. The entry is vegetatively propagated. If you are in the in-ground trial, you have this pesto from Ball that is vegetative, and then the Piedmont, which is a seed variety. So just kind of keep that straight in your head that the one comparison is vegetative and one is from seed.
And the entry is vegetative.
And the entry is vegetative.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. There's a first for everything, right?
And I don't believe the entry has shipped yet, but the comparison has. So again, some of the timing gets a little hard to keep in line. Then we have a cherry tomato that is in the series trial. Again, this will be the first series entry in the edible trial. So just everybody make sure you're understanding that it just has to be equal to the Sparky XSL, which is the comparison. And they're in a separate trial round in Mercado. So when you open up Mercado and you choose your trial, if you choose the edible in-ground trial, this cherry tomato will not be in that round. It's in its own separate round, and it's titled like that. So you'll be able to find it. And then we've got this ornamental seed trial, the sorghum. And actually, Jesse brought up this question because the entry is direct sow. And the question was, should you direct sow the Jade Princess? We're assuming everyone's going to direct sow the corn. So yeah. That was something that Jesse had put out. I know I put her in touch with some of the other judges in the trial, and they've had some discussions. So that was just something, again, a little bit different.
And that's why we like for you guys to talk to each other about it. And Southern judges may be treating it differently than Northern judges. So yeah, one of the unique things this year, which is kind of exciting, this sorghum.
Then we've got in the ornamental seed container trial, we have 2 petunias that are being shipped as liners because they will not be available to be purchased as seed. So the entering breeder is shipping those out.
This is the pansy, not the petunia.
Oh, sorry, the petunia. Sorry.
Yep, sorry. Ignore
Wrong
every
one.
word that says.
Sorry. I was thinking about the pansy. This is the petunia. They're the first hybrid grandiflora from seed. So that's what's different with them, with the spots and dots. Just pointing that out.
Dots. There you go.
Now
you can talk
it's the
about
pansy.
pansy.
So we've got those 2 entries in the ornamental seed container trial. However, they did have some production problems, and only a few judges are receiving the pansy number 2, the velvet ribbon. So I did put out a communication to say who was getting it and who wasn't. But in case you missed that, just be aware that not everybody will get that.
So there is a question here: is what is the answer for the sorghum direct seed, the Jade Princess? Maybe get in touch with Jessie and see what else she has decided, because we didn't really have a correct answer. In your area, I have a feeling you might want to pre-sow the Jade Princess. I'm just thinking of growing season, but yeah, you guys can talk amongst yourselves about that one.
So in the ornamental non-seed trial, we have a colocasia in the Royal Hawaiian series. So again, this is a series trial, and that will be shipping out soon. You'll get the entry and the comparison at the same time, and it just needs to perform equal to the Royal Hawaiian Waikiki. But this one is supposed to be better with limited water, lower humidity, so people might have more success with this one.
Yeah, especially in drier areas.
The lantana we're pointing out in the ornamental non-seed container trial, as it's completely sterile, vigorous, well-structured, easy to grow. That was just something to point out here. And the echinacea perennial trial, again, this is an entry that is part of a series. It's in the artisan series, which is spelled wrong, sorry. But anyway, so just keep in mind as you're judging it, as long as it is equal to the yellow ombre, artisan yellow ombre, then it should be considered for an award. And then we have the sedum in the perennial trial. This one does have some unique culture directions, so everybody can read those. And it's a first-year flowering sedum from seed.
Okay. So you can put it over here in your questions or in the chat if there are any other entries that you wanted to discuss. I am, in case anybody's not seeing it, Jessie did say on the Princess Jade, so she decided to sow it late so that it is germinated but not really pot established. I thought that would be the closest way to compare. So I think that's a good answer, Jessie. Thank you. And if there are any trial procedure questions, you can post those. Mercado questions, you can post those. Or you can get in touch with Jenny or myself. If it's a Mercado question, go to Jenny. The other two, either one of us can answer. So I think that was it for this. And then, so I wanted to tell you a little bit about a discussion we've been having with the non-seed trial, the vegetative trial. Jenny already referenced a couple of the challenges we've had this year. One of those was like the digiplexus was unable to go. And I will just summarize it by saying that this trial has been a challenge ever since we launched it. So we are really brainstorming ways to streamline it and make it easier. We've been having communications with vegetative breeders as well as some of the judges. And the idea is to kind of slot in the AAS trial into the normal procedures that the breeders already have in place for shipping some of their newer varieties, the things that have not come on the market yet. So for example, I'm looking at Denise. So if they're already shipping it to Denise, they don't need to ship a second set of URCs to Denise. We're just going to kind of fit into that program they already have in place. And if breeder X is sending 10 varieties to Denise and they only want 2 of them considered for the AAS trial and potential winner, what they would do is they will enter that into our system as a trial entry. So it may mean some adjustments on the total number of trial sites. It may be some adjustments on comparisons. I put this PowerPoint together before yesterday's meeting where we realized there is still a way to do comparisons. And so we'll hammer out all those details along with the same thing, down the line, we will probably change up the way the assessments are done, either the length of time or the amount, or it may go from being a percentage to a flat fee. We're still figuring all that out, but we've got a really good group of people that are working on that. So I just wanted to bring that up. My goal is to have this approved and we'll roll it out by July. So stay tuned to your JAMA with the Judges. That's when we're going to be making this announcement. But we just wanted to do something because I can't even fathom how difficult this trial is for those of you that are judging this trial. Heaven forbid, if we had 10 entries and then another 10 comparisons, you would basically be getting something every week for like 10 weeks. And we know that it's small quantities compared to everything else you do. So the fact that we've had some success with this trial is pretty amazing. And it's definitely thanks to you. So anyway, okay, let me ask this question of Jenny. So I'm going to go put the camera back on Jenny. The question is, do we need to get set up every year for the Mercado Share portal to see what we wrote in previous years?
Yes, unfortunately, the share portal, which, if you don't know, is a way to access all of the data that you've put into your Mercado app on your computer. Because you can't use the Mercado app on your computer, but you can access your data. However, it is very cumbersome to set up. I am more than happy to do it for any judge that wants to do it. But in the past, I've spent a lot of time setting everyone up and then people don't use it. So if you do want to use it, please let me know and I will for sure set you up. And then you will be able to log into your computer and then check on everything that you've entered in your app.
And I would say that's very important for the perennial judges.
Yes.
Yeah, ultra important. The other thing that Jenny was talking about earlier is those interim observations. If you're doing the interim observations, you can see those on your app.
On your app.
Right.
But some people like to look at it on a computer screen.
Right.
I get it. And I'm more than happy to do it for anyone. It's just that it does take some time and
yeah, no, why
do it for do it
80 judges if 8
only,
are using it, right? Yeah. So we will just reiterate that if you want the portal, if you want to look at it on your desktop, then get in touch with Jenny. Okay. So now we're talking about future. As you see, we are not doing any kind of in-person event this year. We had the plant trialing conference event last year. Next year, we're going to do a more traditional summer summit, but we may tweak it up again a little bit. And we are working with Chad Miller at CSU. So it will be in the Denver, Fort Collins area. And yeah, yay, CSU. So they will be hosting us. They have their event the first Tuesday of the month. So I didn't want to put the exact date in here just in case something changes, but right now, plan on August of 2027, the first week. We will be in Denver, Fort Collins, and we should have information rolled out by the end of this year. So if you're putting together your travel budget, definitely include Summer Summit. We might have a little taste of plant trialing conference. Since we did that last year, we might just have a little bit of discussion on that. So yeah, we will have a chance for all of us to meet up in the mountains next year. And then talking about the International Plant Trialing Conference, after last year's success, we did announce that we are planning on doing it again in 2028. We liked the October timeframe. We really liked the Minneapolis-St. Paul. It seemed like it was kind of a halfway point for a lot of people. Being further north, we got a better rate on the hotel and everything, which is kind of hard to do anymore. So we will be putting together a task force again to plan this task force committee. If you're interested in helping organize, plan all the sessions, speakers, etc., please email me and we will put things together and we will start meeting and brainstorming to have an even better plant trialing conference in 2028. So I think with that, it's not clicking forward. Guess that's our last slide. I thought I had a question slide at the end, but I guess not. So if you guys have questions, go ahead and post them there. Is there anything else you wanted to say, Denise, as a summary?
No, you guys did a good job covering a lot of the stuff. For the new judges, be sure to, if you need some mentorship, there's a long list of us also noted on the website that are willing to help with a lot of different questions. If you'd rather just do one-on-one versus these big group things, just so you guys know, I'm on the website. Diane, do you remember where that list is?
Yes, I'm on the website and I'm going to put the link. Whoops, I got to get logged in. Jenny, what's the password? There we go. I'm automatically logged in. So I'll post the link. Let's see, where are our...
Keep going down.
I know I found it before. I just can't.
That's it.
Okay, I've got it. I'll get the link and I am putting it in chat.
But yeah, reach out to anybody on that list. And if you got questions, there's a lot of us that can help answer all the things. So, but otherwise, thank you everybody for taking the time out today and joining our group.
Thank you. We appreciate everything you do. And we'll continue to try to work and make it easier. So have a great one. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.